Hey, what's up, AfterBuzzers, and happy Halloween. Also, of course, a million little things. Fans, we are breaking down episode 6, unleashing it all as we are hiding certain things from our partners, our love interests, therapists, all that jazz. Let's redefine these relationships right now.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Woo! Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Oh my God, a million little things, unleashing it. Episode 6 of season 2. What a whirlwind.
That was a good one.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Yes.
Yeah, happy Halloween, guys.
Uh-oh.
Sorry we didn't dress up.
For those of you who are listening, we're not dressed up, but we are here to entertain and break down episode 6. I'm Yasmine Tanres, joined by my wonderful co-host,
Just
and
Lucero.
superfan. Yes.
I'm here. I'm back again. Let's do this, guys. You ready?
Damn, okay, there was a lot of things that have been revealed, broken down within the whole group, the relationship dynamic. There were relationships that were basically breaking down, I felt, and then really coming up with truths. So I don't know what you felt overall, but we are going to basically dive into, first of all, the tense relationship between Gary and Maggie. Oh, there's a little bit of a shaky ground right there.
So sad.
And I feel like there was a bit of a reflection with Colin. I feel like he was symbolic of that relationship there. And then PJ's involvement, he's getting closer and closer in that group. I don't know how I feel about that, but let's talk about that too. And then we'll get into redefining relationships between Eddie, Catherine, Delilah, Andrew, because there's some new revelations, there's some new dynamics.
Some new relationships are building.
Yes.
Ooh.
What were your overall thoughts on this episode?
I loved this episode. I thought it was good. And you can tell that DJ Nash is building up to something. I don't know. Well, we can probably guess later on what that might be. And I think there's going to be a few things that are going to be just huge that he's going to drop on us. But tonight's episode, oh my goodness, it was big. I loved seeing PJ and Sophie's relationship kind of building. It was a little weird. It was a little weird. But it was cute to see them talk. Okay, we'll leave it at that. But Maggie and Gary, I love them so much, and I hate to see them struggle. That's one thing that I was struggling with when I was watching this episode back. It was a little hard for me. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so going to PJ, I feel like there's, I don't know. It's
weird. It is weird.
Slightly. But yeah, Maggie and Gary, there was bound to be a little tiffle at some point. So that's happening right now. I think you're right, because I know last week Maggie and you were talking about the fact that they're both going through stuff based upon Maggie not being open with him, and you know that it's hard when you have that person who has your brother's heart. I mean,
yeah,
I don't even know how to get through that, but I felt like overall this episode had a lot of sentiments of should'ves and could'ves.
Yeah.
Things that had not been said or acted upon versus things that should have been said and should be acted upon. And I think that's certainly revealed through the relationship dynamics of like even PJ himself, and obviously Maggie and Gary, and then also of course Catherine and Delilah and their kids being upfront about it all. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how this all goes down in the next few episodes in this season.
Oh man, it is gonna be so good.
Little tidbits have been revealed tonight. So let's get into our first topic of this tense relationship between Gary and Maggie. You know, Maggie has still, in the very beginning of this episode, been really coy towards Gary about Eric, yes. And why?
Yeah.
Why? I'm not sure why she's doing that.
I think it might be because she doesn't want him to judge her for her kind of wanting to fill that void with Eric. But it's making it a little more uncomfortable. It's like if you're in a relationship and your significant other isn't telling you about someone and then you kind of find out about it on your own, you're like, okay, well, why didn't they just tell me about it in the first place? I would have been fine with it. even if you wouldn't have been completely fine with it, you probably would have been a little better than you were if you were to find out like this. So I think that just makes it a little uncomfortable for Gary. This whole relationship is so awkward. And you know what else I noticed in tonight's episode when they were when Gary was looking for Colin, he went to the shelter and they found a dog who looked just like Colin. But he said, it looks like him, but it isn't him. And he was kind of like upset about it. And I felt like that was a huge metaphor relating to Eric, because he doesn't look like Maggie's brother, but he's got that heart from her brother, but it's not her brother. Like she needs to realize it's not the same person. You still need to, like, you can't just fill this void with this new person.
That's a really interesting perspective. I like that. I like that metaphor. Yeah, no, I mean, it's true, because it's just like, why is she inviting him so much into her life
she's
after
trying.
The entire thing that went down with her mother? I almost kind of feel like she's trying to understand where her mother is also coming from,
right?
And to just kind of get more of a feel of him. And you know, I guess they had that bonding moment with him revealing about his loss, and Maggie, being a therapist, is quite understanding as to how that can have effects on people. But I just still don't understand as to why she's not being open to Gary about it, because when you're in a relationship with somebody,
right,
you shouldn't really, you should also not feel judged or feel or care about like that dynamic. If you're just going to bring it up being like, well, yeah, I hung out with Eric and, you know, I'm just trying to understand it myself, but this is what it is, you know, so that Gary doesn't feel sidelined.
Yeah, definitely. I'm also feeling like they moved in. No one can tell anyone that their relationship is moving too quickly or slowly. That's all up to you and your significant other. But I do kind of feel like they're both thinking that they kind of moved in together too quickly, and they're just at an uncomfortable spot right now, and they almost don't know what to talk about now that Maggie is cancer-free and Gary is also cancer-free. He hasn't had cancer for a while now. That was like their thing that they had in common, and that was constantly a subject that they were talking about, and now it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah, and I think that's something that you and Maggie touched upon last week as well, about the fact that their relationship had been so heavily built upon their past, basically, and now it's just like, oh, okay, now what do we do? Now what do we have to fix? Well, now they have to fix their relationship, as in being two humans that don't have any external or internal, let's say bodily internal things that are really holding them back or worries. And so I like the way that Eddie stepped in that sense, and he was trying to take over the John role, and like knowing that, okay, I've got to be there for Gary, and saying this is what John would have said, but then also saying, well, now it's your time to redefine your relationship, and there's always a moment to do that. You can do it at whatever stage of the relationship or your life even.
Right. And go ahead.
No.
Sorry. Don't you feel like them losing Colin, Maggie losing Colin, don't you feel like that kind of came at the perfect time when their relationship is kind of starting to fall apart? It's like they're losing that feeling for each other, and then they literally lose Colin in that time. And they lost Colin because Maggie answered a phone call from Eric. It's like all of this is just so many metaphors, so many like just giant things that are being planted in tonight's episode. I don't remember if it was from last week or this week, but I remember when Maggie said something along the lines of if they lose Colin, that they don't know if they can have a great relationship. I can't remember how she worded it exactly.
But then it's like, how is this dog, Colin, I mean, of course, it's like their baby holding them together. If anything, this is a good test in their relationship. And I do believe that everything happens for a reason. And it's like almost seeing, okay, when you do lose something that's so precious to both of you, especially to Gary, then how are you going to work through things? And I feel like, you know, by the end of it, as it got turned around, I think they were able to acknowledge that there is an issue that they need to work through.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's get into PJ's involvement there for having actually found the dog, but they got a little things that he's up to. But before we get into that, Jess,
yes,
you
guys.
have a little message for
I do
our
have a
lovely
little message.
AfterBuzzers.
Of course. Every week, we just like to mention how much we love you guys joining into each and every one of our after shows. Thank you so much for making us the ESPN of TV Talk. In order for us to continue to give us this great quality content, we do need a little bit of your help, though. We need you guys to make sure to thumbs us up. If for those of you who are tuning in on YouTube, make sure to hit subscribe. And for those of you in the live chat, give us some of your thoughts. We want to hear what you guys thought of tonight's episode, if you loved it as much as we did. And those of you tuning in on the podcast, make sure to rate us 5 stars. We love those stars, right?
Yes, and we love to just actually genuinely read your comments.
Yeah,
And even in the
definitely.
live chat, join us right now as we are debating, thinking, and not really getting to many conclusions, because every single week the episodes unfold or drop another bomb that just comes out of nowhere, like quite literally out of nowhere.
The storylines this week, there's so many. It's like, yes, it was mainly around Colin, but there were so many other little storylines.
Yes, and there was like a wider view with regards to him being lost.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I think ultimately, okay, so this happened. This obviously made PJ become more involved with the group.
Yeah.
As I said, everything happens for a reason. And of course, the writers knew what they're up to.
They knew what they were doing.
How do you feel about his involvement? You know.
I liked it. I liked PJ being there. I thought that was really cool of him to volunteer, to want to help out. It makes sense when you think, I can't relate, I'm not in his shoes, but I would assume when you think someone might have been your father, your birth father, then you might or might not want to be closer with them. Well, in this case, he does want to be closer with his dad. His dad is no longer here. So the next best thing is let's learn what he was like by learning a little bit about the people that were around him. And so I think that's great. I remember earlier in this season, I was talking to you and I said, I think there might be something in between PJ and Sophie. And now here's PJ and Sophie. And I'm like, oh no, please don't have a thing. This is
what
awkward.
I'm actually really worried about is the fact that Sophie hasn't got a clue.
Yeah, she has
and
no
that
idea.
she might actually start
That's what I'm
developing
thinking.
feelings for him, because he is this awkward kid and he does question her things that no other person does, because she thinks they feel awkward about it. But little does she know, he's trying to decipher who his other part of the family is, probably. And from what we know, so I'm really not a big fan of his big involvement in this right now.
In the friendship group or with Sophie?
Even in the friendship group, I almost feel like when Rome said to him, you should take a step back, Maggie's going to be there, she's going to recognize you as your therapist. And Maggie was like super great acting there, as in like acting
nice
in
to
there.
meet you.
Like, nice to meet you. Yeah, never met before. Okay. But I would have taken that advice in his position, being like, okay, you're a wiser man. I'm going to take a step back and I'm just going to go back home. But of course, we want drama, so he'll get involved in it. But then ultimately, he does save the day as well.
Right. Don't you think that was a little ballsy of him to be able to go with all of these people that he doesn't really know? Maggie's his therapist. He's not going to go buddy up to her, He knows Rome, but they're not great friends. So for him to go with all of these adults and then he didn't even know Sophie would be there, that's kind of strange to me.
Yeah, I guess because he knew Gary, and Gary being sort of friends with the father, and he's just really trying to get more of a sense, I guess, of this friendship group and who his maybe father, as we don't quite know,
right?
Who he was hanging out with, and I don't know, trying to be observant. God knows what he's up to, but as well, his father having been on the scene, I think he's gonna have to play it in a sense, to have to bring Sophie at some point over to make it seem like he has a girlfriend, because that's not going to play out well. I feel like there's going to be some form of drama over there.
For him to, I think him lying about Sophie being his girlfriend was completely unnecessary. He could have just said, no, that's just a friend. I don't think he had to go out of his way to say, yes, that's my girlfriend, and then go and grab Sophie's hand. And like, obviously she was starting to get a little bit of feelings there because she wouldn't have grabbed his hand as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when you are kind of, I guess when you're attracted to somebody, we don't even know how Sophie feels about him, but you know, you just don't object to not holding their hands, right? Like, otherwise you would feel awkward about it. You'd be like, well, you're not attracted to them.
Yeah, she would have said something. Yeah.
Why are you holding my hand?
And then
But
they're
she
getting
didn't.
digits and
yeah, she gave him her digits. That's true. Okay. It was really cute though because, well, what I cannot understand about this kid though as well is that she tried to share with him a very intimate moment about her relationship with her father about the chocolates or the sweets.
Yeah.
And she gives him at the end a pack, which he then throws away.
What I thought was that No. I think this is what happened. He threw them in his mouth and then he just threw the box out.
Oh, was it empty?
Yeah.
I thought he was just like, I don't want to even like have that kind of piece of memory.
I think he just
thing.
ate like 3 of the candies or whatever he put in his hand and then threw the box out. But I really thought he was going to like keep the box as a momentum of that day or something. And like, oh, I met what could be my I don't even know, my potential father's family, and I don't know. I really was like, oh, this is gonna be cute. He's gonna save it and like write the date on it or something. None of that
because
happened.
that's the type of thing that he would do.
You know, PJ's such a great guy. We don't really know.
But I genuinely thought like, wait, what is he doing? He's so nasty, just throwing the entire box away.
How dare he?
Just, yeah, so cold-hearted. No, but okay, so that was finished, and obviously that's the way that Colin got found.
Yes.
But I like to see how the show basically showcased in which John is not there, but he's so present and we haven't seen him. But I like that he had that little thing with every one of them, it seems, because then he had something with Catherine. Catherine receives finally this little like gift, well, an intimate thing that she used to share with him.
And we want to know more about that, right?
We actually do want to know more about that. So let's get into our next topic of redefining relationships here. Catherine is really making a stance in this season.
Good.
She is holding herself so well. But I'm also curious to know if she has some wave of plan or something. Because the fact that last week she's saying she wanted to go to Austin, now she's saying let's bring out the truth. Yeah, let's hit everybody with the truth out.
Right, and I think she has every right to do this. Like in last week when she was talking, or she was searching Austin, Texas, but she told Eddie that she didn't want to go to Austin. She didn't bring it up to him because she knew he had this family back home that he couldn't leave. So she did the bigger thing right there. She was the bigger person in doing that. Now this week, she shouldn't have to continue to swallow the pill. She didn't do anything wrong. It's Eddie and Delilah that are in the wrong here, and they have been in the wrong here, and now they're continuing to lie. You see Delilah kind of fall apart when she's speaking in the suicide podcast because I don't know if she directly lied or if she just didn't fully tell the truth about Charlie being John's. And so Catherine is like, she's just stuck in the middle of this, and she's lying for these two people who did her wrong. It's like she shouldn't have to do that for them. So I think she has every right to say, yeah, I don't want to continue to lie. Leave it up to them if they want to do that.
That means, though, she's also going to have to be very open with Theo. Because that was not even mentioned here. She was like, I want you to tell Sophie and Danny. But that means she's going to have to tell Theo. And, you know, because there was a little moment where Theo was like, wait, why is Daddy looking after Charlie? He hates kids. Or because you guys don't want more kids. And maybe that might have been the insightful moment that made her think. Because she was about to put that ring on as well. But then obviously, you know, she had a change of heart, and it was curious to see her in the park coming out with the truth. It is a very complicated situation.
Gosh. And she just tells this random person.
And here's the thing, I think, when you tell random people, it's like when you're sitting on a flight, right? For whatever reason, people open up about their lives because you genuinely think, I'm not going to see this person anyway, so let me just get all this stuff out that, you know, you're not part of my friendship crew. There's
So
no way
accurate.
of you even knowing my third degree friendship crew or anything. So I'm just going to blurt out the truth. And ultimately that showed her how good she felt about being so open and honest about it. Would you do the same? Would you feel like, okay, let me just let it all out into the open?
What I think is she's doing a damn good job of being able to keep her mouth shut in the first place, because knowing me, if you really need me to keep her secret, I can help you out, okay? But when it comes to something like this, where like people did me wrong, I don't think I could keep my mouth shut the way she is. I mean, of course to Theo, because that's your son and you want to protect him. But
ultimately, she's asking everybody else to be honest and upfront, so she's going to have to do the same thing with her kid.
I think she might have Eddie do that. I don't know. I think it was a huge thing for her to even forge. Basically, she's trying to forge a relationship with Charlie because she knows that the love of her life, you know, he's done her wrong. Mending that bridge and relationship right there. But then in order to be able to fully do that, she's going to have to reconcile with this kid that he has. And of course, the friendship that they have with Delilah. And so it's, you know, it's something we've been talking about over the past, this entire season, basically. Are they going to tell their kids? When are they going to tell their kids? Is the time going to come now? It seems like it's coming. It's being forced to come now, right? I love it.
But I really wonder what that's going to do. But ultimately, I think she had a really strong point there to say, I don't want to make the same mistake as John. Clearly he was in pain.
Yeah.
Clearly he wasn't being super honest, and that's what led to a very sad tragedy. And ultimately I think we're seeing sort of things going through Delilah and Andrew, in which both of them are living or going by their days lying through their days. That's what they said. How, you know, I'm not in that position to be able to understand fully, like when you're forced to lie to your kids because of a very complex situation.
Right.
But there obviously comes a time and place where you have to be open about it.
I mean, it's funny. You think about parents lie to you about Christmas. They tell you Santa Claus is...
And the Tooth Fairy.
What if there's kids watching this? That's why I paused. Oh my God. I'm having a panic attack. No, I'm not. But I'm freaking out. I hope to God there's no kids watching this. Okay. Whew. Okay, deep breathe. But you get what I'm saying. These parents have to do these things to sort of protect their kids. And for that, it makes sense. But are you going to justify then hiding stuff like this? It's like completely different, wouldn't you say?
Right, yeah. I mean, you just got me there right now as well about the whole kid thing.
Wasn't that funny?
But, you know, like, I understand, you know, there's white lies that you have to do in order to, you know, make life more lighthearted. Because there are definitely things out there, you know, like there's things to look forward to. But then there's also truths and realities that have to be acknowledged in order to,
oh my God, this is great.
To keep it real somehow. Which, talking of Andrew being real about his wife not being dead.
That was wild. That was so wild.
That was like...
Did not see that one.
That just got unraveled out of its present. Like, boom, okay?
Oh my gosh. I did not see that one coming. But also, I understand where he's coming from, because he's kind of trying to, like, break away from... If Yasmine doesn't stop looking at me and laughing, guys, we can't focus because of this whole Christmas comment somehow.
Yes. So, I mean, yeah, and
we're making it lighthearted, though.
Andrew's fed it to us now, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Okay, back to Andrew, though. Here's the thing. I understand where he's coming from, because he is in the situation where it seems like he kind of wants to break away a little bit. He doesn't want to forget about his wife. She's in a coma, correct?
Yes.
That's what
it seems like. And he even brought Delilah there. I was like, oh, wow. Okay, that's where they were driving to. I don't think they had that plan.
I didn't see that coming either. None of this.
Took a little detour, though.
Also, I have one other question for those of you who are tuning in. Maybe you can help us out, because we could not figure out last week. I'm sorry I'm going off for a second, but last week when they had Maggie singing her little tune in the bar, whatever it was, in the open mic night, and Eric was sitting up front, Gary walks in, Gary walks out, but she's got great pipes. We talked about it for like 5 minutes on last week's show, but apparently that didn't happen because Eric said that. So if any of you guys know, was that a dream? And like, did I just completely miss the part of that made that into a dream? I'm so confused still.
Yeah, and honestly, even though Eric is saying that he's going to step away, he thinks it's for the best, which I honestly agree, but I don't think he's going to be gone anytime soon. Well, because we got a little blurpy there, didn't we?
Yep.
Well, which actually leads us nicely into our news. Unless you still want to say something about what's happened here.
No, I'm agreeing with that, though, thinking about the fact that I don't think Eric is completely going to go away either. And I think that if Maggie continues with that relationship, well, she can't expect hers and Gary's relationship to get any stronger. And she's living with Gary. That's her boyfriend. Like, I mean, it's such a weird situation.
She needs to sort herself out. She needs to really figure out why she really wants Eric in her life. What's the purpose? What's the benefit? And then also how to deal with it with Gary. And Gary also has to then become as understanding as he always is. He has to see that, okay, yes, she clearly misses her brother. Of course, the entire family is always going to miss him. And so to know that his heart is in this body, who is a kind soul, it seems as well, and who's been through so much too, and has obviously become very close to both of them, her and her mother. He'll have to come to terms with it, I feel, in order to make the relationship work as well. It takes two. But if both of them are serious, are really still maintaining this relationship, they're going to have to find like a common ground to have Eric in their lives or not. But I just feel like he's going to be there.
Exactly. I think that really what needs to happen is Gary is the one who feels uncomfortable in this whole situation. So he kind of yelled at Maggie when it came down to it. Not outright screamed at her, but he didn't do it in a super loving way. And so I think more than anything, he should kind of sit down with her and say, I want to be that person that you fill your void with, rather than you going to this other person that we just met not that long ago.
And who you didn't even like to begin with.
Right. She was so aggressive when Eric entered their little family. That was strange.
Yeah. Well, let's get into our news.
Finally, we got some news now.
All right. Okay, so as mentioned, we don't think Eric is going to go anywhere soon because two-time Tony winner and younger star Sutton Foster, we saw her in a picture that he pulls out. She will be a guest star on the show as Chloe, Eric's dead fiancée. We don't know how or when she's going to appear. We just know she will at some point. So Eric's not going anywhere soon. And Jess, you've got a couple of pieces of news too.
Yes, guys. I have some good old pieces. You had a great piece as well. But I have a good old piece right here in front of me. So first up, I want to talk about Delilah posted on her Instagram. Her name is Steph. Well, her Instagram name is Steph Shortstack. She posted on Instagram, in tonight's episode, you will see the lovely Dr. J. Ashton. I read Jen's memoir, Life After Suicide, before we started shooting season 2, and doing the scene with her is something I will forever remember. She moved me, made me laugh, and even picked some lettuce out of my teeth. And then she said thank you to her. I thought that was so cute because that's the doctor that she was speaking with during the suicide podcast, and that was a big moment. There's a million and one podcasts out there nowadays, and I'm sure there's podcasts on suicide. I've never listened or read anything by Jen, but at this point, it sounds like it would be great to read. Yeah, exactly. And then next up, I have a tweet by DJ Nash because he always has some great tweets. So this one is actually from October 30th. A fan tweeted him and said she's basically wondering why he continues to talk about the next 4 episodes. Are these the final 4 episodes before your winter hiatus, or just 4 really important episodes? What's going on? And he said both. We go off for the holidays after that, but we are building to an amazing mid-season finale. Be sure to check it out. This is huge, guys, because we're sitting here wondering, why does it seem like they're building up to something huge? We're only 6 episodes in. What is this going to be? So now knowing, okay, so that was yesterday. So there's 3 more episodes until they have their hiatus, as they called it.
Yeah.
So that means that we have some juicy stuff coming very soon.
I'm just thinking, we gotta hold on to our chairs, tables, everything. Get your masks out in case you can't breathe. I mean, there's just too much to handle. Every single episode so far this season has been incredible. They've done such a great job.
So.
Honestly, to keep on going so strong. Well, let's get into our special segment. Hashtag Little Thing ABTV. We also love to hear anything that you took away from this episode. So Jess, what was your hashtag Little Thing ABTV?
I feel like this is a little reoccurring for myself, but it's a good one because I want to talk about tonight's friendship moments that happened. Basically, right when they found out that Gary needed help to find his dog, all of the friends, didn't go to work, didn't go to school. What's that? They were there to help him out. And I just thought that was great because Gary has always been that guy that's there for all the rest of the friends. Like, we've talked about him probably in every episode. He's just an incredible friend. And then also, the relationship between Eddie and Gary was amazing to see as well, because you haven't really seen them talk too much. They're there together, but it was just cute to see the two of them kind of bonding. And
yeah, I liked his little comment though at the end when he's like, okay, we got to stop hugging so that people don't think you're the one that slept with me or everybody.
Yeah.
I just thought, wow, cheeky
oh my
Gary.
gosh, that was great.
Wait,
Yeah,
do
that
people
made me
say
laugh.
cheeky here? I don't think they.
I've heard the word, but not here.
Anyways, funny comment, Gary.
I love cheeky.
I like that. I think it is a great recurring theme always to just see those friends always drop everything and get together. I think, we're always so busy in our lives, but those that we are the closest to mean the most to us, and we do want to always find some time to be able to be there for them, at least touch base. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I like that one. Okay, so mine was, it's never too late to redefine your relationships. I think this was a huge theme in this
that's a good one.
episode. Yeah, because, at any stage, like we are seeing between Gary and Maggie, where they had something that they were truly battling through and focusing on, and now that they've managed to overcome that battle, why have another battle? Just live in peace. Try to find that momentum, but also own your mistakes before they succumb you. I think that's something that we can see through Catherine and Delilah, in which Delilah is living through lies, and Catherine is like speaking up and not addressing it and not feeling judged by it as well. I think too many of us judge ourselves because we may judge others. By judging others, you are going to judge yourself. So letting go of that and being able to just own yourself, I think that was a strong theme here too. So that was my hashtag little thing, ABTV.
A good little
Thank
thing.
you.
A couple of things right there.
Right?
Those were good.
And we'd love to hear what you think as well, as always. Is there anybody in the chat? Otherwise, do leave us a comment on our YouTube, but obviously on Spotify, iTunes as well. And hey, let's get into our predictions. What do we think is going to happen next?
And we have we have a viewer that I can't read their name because it's in another language once again, but they did say, I hope we can get flashbacks of John back in his college days, and that would be good.
We're waiting on that because we haven't seen much of Barbara's, like not in these couple of episodes, I feel.
Exactly. I was thinking about this since last week, and of course now it happens. I think we spoke about this in last week's episode, or last week's podcast, and now we get some talk about John. Slowly, maybe next week we'll get a little bit more, since PJ seems to be reoccurring in these episodes.
And he did a DNA test. Ooh, I am waiting on that one.
Oh, that's going to be juicy. But to now get into the predictions, I just feel like PJ and Sophie, I think Sophie might start to get some feelings for PJ, and I think maybe it'll come down to something like she'll try and kiss PJ, and PJ will say, whoa, wait a second, I think we might be related.
Why? We're on the same wavelength.
Really?
I was just thinking that too. And at that point, it's when Delilah is going to tell them the truth.
Everything.
Yeah, everything's going to be revealed. And then Sophie's just going to be completely mad. And upset and just traumatized, of course.
Yep.
And Danny, I don't know. I feel like Danny will be able to get over it for some reason, but I don't think Sophie's going to handle it too well.
No,
given circumstances of the
no.
relationship that's being built now, kind of slowly, creepily between her and PJ.
Right.
But then I'm curious to see how Theo would handle it if that's revealed too. And then as for Maggie and Gary, I think I have a weird feeling they're going to take a break.
I agree. I think that's honestly, those are probably two of the biggest things that might happen in the mid-season finale. DJ Nash, sorry, we're just taking it right out of your mouth. Sorry about that.
We just want to know. We just want to say, like, this
We're
is our
predicting it all right here, guys. But
and it's all coming true because all our past predictions have been so right. No, joking.
Right. We got maybe like 1, 2. We don't even know yet because we don't know for sure if PJ is John's kid. But I am thinking
we're waiting on that.
Yeah, in the next 3 episodes, we are going to find out about John or about PJ if John is his dad. We're going to find that out. Sophie's gonna hit on PJ, and Maggie and Gary are gonna take a break. That's it. Those are the next biggest things that are going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I can really touch upon because I think the way that things are also developing between Eddie and Catherine, I think that's still going to go on, still going to continue. Yeah, they still need to go on that ride. Right. Whereas Delilah and Andrew,
that's what I was going to bring up.
They're going to I think they're going to forge a relationship, even though it's kind of awkward to think that he still has a wife that's in a coma. Yeah. And even though she has a 1% chance, I think she's going to wake up.
Oh my gosh.
Not anytime soon, but I think she will at some point.
At the season finale.
Yeah, maybe. Think far ahead now, okay? Let's take it over there. Let's get witchy tonight on Halloween.
We're seeing into the future.
Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Do leave us your comments and your thoughts and your predictions and your hashtag little thing ABTV takeaway as well. But before we go, Jess, where can everybody find you on social media?
Oh, guys, I'm still catching my breath over here from tonight's episode, but you can catch me at Jess Lucero Live on Twitter and Instagram. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you guys thought about tonight's episode. Like I said,
we truly do not hide anything. You know, not like some people here in this series with their relationships. But yes, you can find me at Yasmine Tanres, and dude, check us out for next week's episode. I can't wait to see what's going to happen.
Tune in next week, guys.
Yes, well, have a happy Halloween. Stay safe.
See you guys.
Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.